What is up, everybody? Jeremy Ice and Fire here, and welcome to the channel. HP Lovecraft, the father of cosmic horror and eldritch abominations of the most hideous origin, whose work has not only stood the test of time, but has also gone on to influence a countless number of authors, artists, and creatives of all types throughout the years. H.P. Lovecraft's work was so prevalent, in fact, that it would go on to spurn an entire genre of writing in and of itself, which would commonly be referred to as Lovecraftian. He has also gone on to create one of the most interesting and complex mythos in modern writing that we have seen, which would also go on to be the blueprint for many shared universes that we are seeing still to this day, like the MCU and many other shared universes that we see in writing today. And in no series is that Lovecraftian influence felt more heavily than in our very own A Song of Ice and Fire, as George himself is not only a massive H.P. Lovecraft fan, but a very well-read student of his work as well. The Lovecraftian influence can be felt all throughout A Song of Ice and Fire, most notably, however, with House Greyjoy. Now, the Greyjoys have a ton of Lovecraftian symbolism going on, everything going from their sigil, which is a massive kraken, to the Drowned God, which is very representative of Cthulhu. And, of course, with House Greyjoy's very famous house words as well. What is dead may never die, but rises again, harder and stronger, which is definitely George R.R. Martin's play on H.P. Lovecraft's passage, "That is not dead which can eternal lie. And with strange eons, even death may die." Both are heavily references to both Cthulhu and the Drowned God, which is pretty much George's version of Cthulhu in A Song of Ice and Fire. But when looking a little bit deeper, you start to notice that the Lovecraftian influences do not end there. There are quite a lot of them, and today we are going to take a look at some of those influences and find out just how Lovecraftian A Song of Ice and Fire really is. Starting with the city of Lang. Lang is a large island in the Jade Sea off the southern coast of Essos. It is an island that is filled up with forests and jungles and is very rich in both spices and gemstones, and is most likely George's reference to H.P. Lovecraft's The Plateau of Lang, which is referenced in a ton of H.P. Lovecraft's work, most notably in At the Mountains of Madness and The Whisper in Darkness. Up next we have the island of Ib, which is located in the Shivering Sea. Located upon the southern shores of Ib itself lies the port of Ibn, which is one of the largest and richest ports in George's world, and one of the biggest settlements in the Shivering Sea. George's Ib is most likely a reference to H.P. Lovecraft's version of Ib, which was a great ancient city located along the shoreline of a vast lake in the land of the Manar, inhabited by the beings of Ib, a species of amphibian creatures that lived in the city of Ib. Very little is known about these creatures, but they were described as having bulging eyes, pouting, flabby lips, and curious ears, and were without voice. In addition, these creatures were also known to have very thin, greenish skin, and share numerous characteristics with the Deepones as well. Up next we have the land of Kadath. Kadath is a city that is in the Grey Waste, east of the Bleeding Sea and north of the land of the Shrikes. The inhabitants of Kadath claim that it is the first and oldest city in the known world. It is said that unspeakable rites are performed in Kadath in order to satiate the ancient mad gods living there. And this is undoubtedly influenced by H.P. Lovecraft's version of Kadath, which is an ancient city and the home of the dream gods on Earth, otherwise known as the Great Old Ones. Kadath's precise location in Lovecraft's universe is contested, however. There is even confusion as to whether it exists in the dream world or in the waking world. Some believe that the Antarctic plateau of Lang may hide the secret location of Kadath, which is hinted at in H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, while others believe that Randolph Carter discovered the true Kadath in the Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Up next we have the Church of Starry Wisdom. The Church of Starry Wisdom is a sinister religion that persists in many of the main port cities throughout the known world, and its leader holds the title of High Priest. And many believe that the first ever High Priest of the Church of Starry Wisdom was none other than the legendary Bloodstone Emperor of Yi, who famously renounced the gods of Yi so he could worship an oily black stone that fell from the heavens. And George's version of the Church of Starry Wisdom is undoubtedly a nod to HP Lovecraft's version of the same name. Also known as the Celestial Providence sect, the Church of Starry Wisdom is a cult that can be found in The Haunter of the Dark by HP Lovecraft. The Church of Starry Wisdom, or the Starry Wisdom cult, is a cult that worships Nyarlathotep, also known as the Crawling Chaos, an eldritch outer god of the Cthulhu mythos. The cult's main goal was to summon this Haunter of the Dark, who demanded outrageous sacrifices in return for limitless knowledge of the universe. Up next we have the Deep Ones. According to Maester Theron, the Deep Ones were a queer, misshapen race of half-men sired by creatures of the salt sea upon human women. Theron also drew a connection between the black stone of the sea stone chair and that of the same black stone that makes up the ancient base of the High Tower of Old Town, and suggests that the Deep Ones created both. And of course, these Deep Ones that we find in A Song of Ice and Fire are very much George paying homage to H.P. Lovecraft's version of his Deep Ones, who are very prominent within the Cthulhu mythos. In H.P. Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth, the Deep Ones are a race of ocean-dwelling humanoids that have an affinity for mating with humans. In Lovecraft's story, the Deep Ones enter into a contract with the people of Innsmouth to keep the fish plentiful in their area, and to provide them with a supply of gold artifacts of inhuman design. The Deep Ones are also connected to Dagon as well, a sea deity within the Cthulhu mythos. And Dagon, of course, is a name that we see repeated multiple times throughout A Song of Ice and Fire, the most notable of which would be Dagon Greyjoy, the Lord Reaper of the Pike and Lord of the Iron Islands from 212 AC to 259 AC. Up next we have the Old Ones. The Old Ones were ancient gods that were said to have lived deep below the ancient ruined subterranean cities on the island of Lang. The god Empress of Lang is said to have had congress with the Old Ones, and they have instructed the Empresses on at least 4 different occasions to massacre foreigners, at least according to the Jade Compendiums. And these Old Ones are a direct reference to H.P. Lovecraft's The Great Old Ones, which are a group of unique, malignant beings of great power who used to reside in various locations all over the earth and presided over the planet as its gods and rulers. The Great Old Ones can be referenced multiple times throughout H.P. Lovecraft's work, most notably in At the Mountains of Madness, where we discover that they used to preside over the entire planet as its rulers, with vast, ancient cities dating all the way back to millions of years ago, originating in ancient Antarctica. The Old Ones would go on to fight quite a few wars for dominance throughout the eons, most notably against the Cthulhu spawn, and later on against beings called the Mi-Go. In A Song of Ice and Fire, it is said that the Old Ones still dwell beneath the ancient underground cities of Lang. Centuries ago, Emperor of Yi at the time, Jar-Har, attempted to conquer Lang, but was met with disastrous consequences as every single warrior he sent into the ancient ruins ended up disappearing altogether, and those that did returned completely mad, which is a very similar theme we see in H.P. Lovecraft's writings, whereas those who do happen to survive their chance encounter with these ancient eldritch abominations usually end up going mad just at the sheer sight of them. But there you have it, folks, some of the hidden H.P. Lovecraft references in A Song of Ice and Fire, and George R.R. Martin is clearly a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft's work, and it really shows with some of the nice, intricate stuff that he has woven in with the awesome Lovecraftian Easter eggs. But let me know down below, what are some of your favorite Lovecraftian influences in A Song of Ice and Fire, and some of your favorite A Song of Ice and Fire themes overall. I would love to know. And as always, I want to thank everybody out there for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and leave a comment down below, as it really helps out with the algorithm. And subscribe and hit that bell for notifications to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And we will see you on the next one.